We're going to start by opening up the base cabinet that we created for the ShopBot Desktop Max. So open up that file, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to change the job dimensions, because now we want to put this on a full sheet of plywood, which is going to be 96 by 48. Everything else is going to stay the same. So we'll click OK. And now we have our base cabinet side that we developed earlier. First thing we're going to do is we're going to check to make sure that we have everything on the correct layer. So rabbit there, that's correct. Shelf dado is correct. And their cabinet cutout. So that's fine. So we're going to select all those vectors. And then we're going to want to make a mirrored image, not a copy, because we want when ready to assemble, we don't want to have all the sides of the same left side would be the right side, I guess, all the same size. So we're going to do a mirror image, and we're going to create a mirrored copy, and we're going to go to top, close this, and using the arrow key on your keyboard, we're going to just move it up just slightly and give some room for the 1/4 inch router bit to go around here. Okay. Now, in the wall cabinets, we went ahead and used this tool right over here in offset layout, created a linear array of copies. Well, we can obviously see we're only going to be able to get another 2 sides on this sheet. So all we're going to do is select the 2 sides that we created here. We're going to do another mirror, and this time we're going to go to the right. We'll close this. Then using your arrows on your keyboard, we're going to move that slightly to the right. Now we have plenty of space left to make some cabinets, shelves here. So let's see exactly how many we can get in here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a rectangle. But before we do that, we have to figure out what size of rectangle we created. And so in here I've created a label here that shows us exactly what size shelf we need. We're starting out with a 24-inch base cabinet, for example. Face frame overlay about 0.25 on each side. That's negative 0.5. Plywood thickness of 0.7 minus the 0.12 dados. There's 2 of those. And so we're going to subtract that as well. So we have a total shelf length of 22.34 to give an external dimension with the face frame of 24 inches. So we're going to go here and we're going to click draw our rectangle. Now if we leave this anchor point here, it's going to come right here, and then we can drag this over here, or we can just take this right here and we can just go ahead and stretch out right there if we want. And we're going to come back over here and we're going to change these to match what we have over here, 22.34. Now, the first one is we're going to do this shelf right here, the middle shelf, is 12 inches, but we have to take away the thickness of that plywood backing, which is going to be 0.2. So 12 minus 0.2 is going to be 11.8. And we're going to click Apply. And there we have that particular shelf. We'll close this. I'm going to position this up a little bit more because we are going to try to see if we can get as many shelves in here as we can. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to click on this again. And we're going to go back to mirror image, and we'll create a mirror image to the bottom. We'll close this, and then we're going to move this a specific amount, and we're going to click over here, upper left-hand corner, and we're going to move it relative, and we want to move it in the Y position, and we want to have enough room for a router bit to get by on both sides. So we're going to get minus 3. We have a 1/4 inch router bit, so that's right there. Will let us get through on both sides. Now, one of the advantages of the vacuum hold down on your ShopBot tables is that it should hold down those shelves without any problem. If you have a small piece here in the middle, that's going to have a tendency to vibrate and possibly break out and get jammed in your bit. So it's better that we just cut everything off in between those. Okay, so let's do one more flip over here, and we're going to mirror that to the bottom again. We'll go ahead, and this time we're going to go ahead and move that relative, and we're going to do Y position, and we're going to do -0.3, apply. Okay, bare minimum that we need. Now, we're going to do the bottom shelf. Okay, so when we get through, we're going to have enough for one cabinet or 2 cabinets, the upper shelf, and 1 cabinet, the bottom shelf. And so I'm going to go back over here to transform objects, set object size, and we're going to use the anchor point up here to the left. And the width is going to stay the same, but the height is going to be different. So remember, this dimension of the cabinet is 23.25 plus face frame of 0.75, finished size 24-inch from back to front. So we're going to subtract from 23.25, 0.2 for the thickness of the plywood. So we're going to have 23.05. Yeah, of course, you make sure that this is not checked before you do this, and we're going to apply. And we're going to look at that, and it looks like we just might be able to get that in place. Now, right here, we could click on this particular shelf and just move it slightly up. Click on this one right here, just move it. I accidentally hit the delete key instead of the arrow key, and to undo anything, Control Z. Very important. If you make a mistake, Control Z will get you back where you need to go. And I'm going to move this up just slightly. I want to fit everything into the window, so I'm going to put F to fit. We'll close this particular one, and now we'll look over here, and looks like we have everything that's going to fit, so I'll put F to fit. Now I'm going to hide my labeling there. Close this. Now I'm going to go over, now we're going to create the toolpath to get everything out. And since you're doing a vacuum hold down, the only places that we're going to have to put a tab is actually to keep small pieces from breaking off and getting caught in your machine or in the router bit and possibly jam. These pieces are large enough that your vacuum hold down should be able to hold everything down, especially since we're using a down cut bit which packs the sawdust in there. So you should have a good vacuum on all this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click down this Layers tab, and we're going to start with our rabbet cut first, right there. F to fit. We're going to close that. And we're going to go to pocketing, and we want to go 1/2 inch. That was, I think, the last thing we did here, and the last thing you did on your tool pathing will be what will come up first. We're going to use the same bit, and if you remember correctly, we set this at 3 inches per second, actually 3.25, and a plunge rate of 1 and spindle speed of 12,000. Click OK. And we're going to go ahead and calculate those. Preview selected toolpath. We're going to use a global fill color and use dark brown that gives the best contrast. Preview selected toolpath. There we go. Now we're going to go back to the 2D view in our layers, and now we're going to turn off the rabbet and just leave the shelves. So this way, when we are able to select everything, click there, We're going to just have to draw a rectangle around everything. And we're going to go into our pocketing toolpath, but this time we're going to go 0.12, the depth of the rabbet. This will allow us to still use pocket screws, 1 1/4. Just have to adjust them to about a stop collar to about 5/8 to 3/4, and it should still work. Okay, we're going to use the same bit. Make sure we edit that. Okay, that's good to go. Last thing we did. And we're going to name that base tab shelf dado. And I'm going to calculate there. And I'm going to preview selected toolpath. All looking good. Now, notice I forgot to put a label on here. So rather than opening it up and having to recalculate, all you have to do is right mouse click, rename, and this is going to be base tab back rabbet. And we're good to go. Go back to 2D view, back to my layers, and then I'm going to do my cutout layers right there. Click into the white space, and I'm going to select everything right here. And we're going to close our preview and go into profile cutout. 0.715 should get us easily through the material. Check our speed in this bit. There we go. We're going to go 3.25 at 12,000 RPM. Click OK. And we want to be on the outside. Now notice you should always have the show advanced toolpath options. It's a lot easier to use. Gives you the options that you're going to need to go into. Ramps, we want a ramp. Goes in 3 inches, and we just want, it says zigzag, we'll take a smooth ramp, faster. And you don't want to directly plunge into material usually. Tough on the router bit, tough on your machine. A lot easier to go with ramps. Now we're going to add tabs to this. And like the tab, we want 1 inch, thickness 0.1, and we're going to create 3D tabs. Again, that's a little bit easier for the machine. Instead of going up, stop, up, and then over, and then down, it goes ramps up, then ramps on down. So it's easier. And again, the vacuum hold down is what's holding down the finished part. The only thing that the purpose of these tabs for you, the vacuum hold down, is to keep your waste parts from flying around. Now, what I want to do first, I think, so that'll determine how many tabs I actually need. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to actually take that tab off. I'll name this base tab full cutout. Calculate. Yes, we want to go through there. Preview all toolpaths. Okay, now notice right here, we're not going to need any tabs there. Not going to need any tab on the bottom there. We're going to probably need some tabs on these ends. And what happens right here, this little piece is going to flam around, and it's probably good just to put a little tab there or there. Same thing on this piece right here. We don't want this block coming loose, so we'll probably put a tab in there. But we'll try to minimize the tab. But for sure, we're not going to need tabs right here because the materials are completely cut out. So I'm going to close this. Go back in here. And we want to go to our tabs, click our tabs, edit tabs. Remember, we don't need anything in here, so we're going to just go ahead everywhere you select is going to create a tab. This is just keeping that piece from flying off on you. We don't need too many. And a lot of times I like to put tabs across from each other because you're going to need that once you cut some of those pieces, you're going to be pretty close for that flying off. So we're just put around here, here, top, bottom, few on the side to keep this from flying off. Again, your only purpose of this is to keep these pieces, waste pieces, from flying off on you. So you don't need too many. You're not really holding the material down. The vacuum is holding it down. Now, if you're actually trying to put this down with screws, you would have to be very careful where you put those screws, and we would probably put some here, right here, here, some here in the ends, and you have to position those to make sure that those screws are not going to be hit by that router bit. Now we're going to close that. We're going to recalculate. Yes, we're going to go through the material. We're going to reset the reset the preview, and now we're going to preview all toolpaths. And let's see what happens here. Okay, it looks like we got everything holding together here, and looks good, looks good, looks good. And I probably didn't need that tab right there. Okay, I can see that. And so, and these tabs, again, their whole primary purpose is to hold the waste material, not to hold these pieces down. I probably don't even need a tab across here. That probably should be enough, but sometimes this will vibrate when you're cutting, and it can actually do enough vibration maybe to let those tabs loose. So I'm going to put tabs right here and eliminate this tab here. So all I have to do is double click on my base cabin, go back to my tabs, edit tabs, and if I click on this again, it'll, oops, I gotta get closer. When I see that, you see right here, that's going to add one, a little check mark. If I go right on top, it's got the X, that's going to take it out. Here I'm going to put, there's a check mark, it's going to put one there, and there we go. Close, calculate. Yes, we want to go through the material. Reset preview, preview all toolpaths. And let's see what happens. Now that looks pretty good. We're going to close this. And again, I forgot to save this at the beginning, so we'll save it now. Save as, or save as, and we're going to give it desktop max base cabinet full sheet. Do not save it without renaming it, because then you're going to write over the original file, and you want to keep that if you want to cut a base cabinet on the desktop max. Okay, so we're going to save that. Okay, I'm going to write over the one I had there. Now we're going to save that toolpath so we can select all of them. Remember, the last one that you want to do is your cutout. We're doing it with the same bit, so we don't have to change bits. So we're going to save toolpath. Again, we've clicked over here, output divisible toolpaths to one file. If you've got everything clicked at the bottom, but only one shows up there, it means you have not selected this right here. So we'll select that. And I'm going to save toolpaths to file. And we already have the wall cabinet. We are now with the base cabinet full sheet. And we are going to save that. That's going to be the cutting file. Save that. And now we're good to go. And we'll go ahead and save that file again now that we've renamed it. Save it. And we can exit. We're good to go, ready to run.